So here we are at Windcraft Studios in somewhere in the middle of the country. I'm not going to say any more than that.
Okay. Yeah,
Very secretive, of course, Steve Winwood's place. And a good old friend of mine, not an old person, but an old friend of mine, James Towler, is here. And we're going to talk to him about how this place is set up, how he got his position here for the last 20 years, and what he's kind of been up to. So, hi, James.
Hello, Tony.
It was a long time ago. We actually worked in a music shop together. I was in Bristol, he was in London, selling keyboards and Cubase.
Yeah, well, I mean, I guess it was actually before then, and it was possibly at Sumo's
Yes,
in Weston-super-Mare, where I was DJing.
And so was I.
Were you DJing there as well?
What was your DJ name at the time?
DJ Craze.
That's right, it was
Yeah.
I was Jaffa.
Yeah.
Can't believe that. It was 1990, 1991.
Yeah.
Because we had all the big boys coming, didn't we? We had Dennis, and we had Carl Cox for 300 quid down there back in the day.
I mean, that was, But I think that's when we first, kind of met really and started working. That was pre-X Music.
It was. And you had a Studio Master P7 desk up in Bristol, didn't you?
Yeah, which I'd actually bought from Kev Steele, who was the owner of X Music, when they had ABC Music.
Oh, yeah, of course, it was ABC before that.
So where I started was I started off DJing, then I wanted to start making my own music. So then I bought an Akai sampler, an Atari computer, and a Studio Master P7 desk.
That was good. And we were literally breaking beats up, weren't we? Back in the day.
We were breaking beats, kind of,
Amen, hot pants, you know it.
Yeah.
Many times
a
late
lot easier
night,
to edit now.
The same beat going on, is the groove just right? No, let's move it a sample. Yeah, it was fun. It was fun. Gritty.
Oh, definitely. And, that was fun times. But, I mean, I didn't really make much music, but I guess that's what sparked my interest in production.
Yeah, I think it was me too that whole time, because records were great, but they weren't enough.
Yeah.
And we wanted to make music, and with the limited equipment, I remember when I bought a Juno 106, and it was like, oh, great, we can make our own sounds. It was just hours of playing, making sounds.
Yeah.
I loved that time. So I stopped DJing. You still continue, because I've just seen you rig in the barn.
Yeah, I mean, I still find it relaxing.
Jungle and drum and bass, I guess.
Yeah. I mean, I still do DJ, once a week, just get up there and play a bit, because, I find it helps.
It's your stress relief, is it?
Yeah.
I can't imagine it's very stressful being here. I mean, it's beautiful countryside, amazing buildings, and an amazing studio, which we'll talk about in a minute. But I guess you do a lot of work, don't you, these days? Yeah,
I mean, I've kind of progressed from that. I mean, a lot of it here is kind of management duties, touring, just so many different aspects of the record industry which go on from this building. So it's not just a studio.
Right.
There's a hell of a lot of other things going on within the kind of music industry.
So, I mean, I remember when you got the gig as such, 20 odd years ago, and you were working at X Music in London, and you got a gig with Steve Winwood, and we were all very jealous, obviously, but you didn't know who he was, did you?
I had no idea who he was. I got the phone call, and I kind of came out to the Cotswolds to kind of meet him, and I just, fixing keyboards, not a problem. I can do it.
Wow, that's amazing. So when did the penny drop?
It possibly wasn't until after working for him for 18 months and travelling around the world, really, and doing all the live shows that, I kind of then figured, okay. And then he asked me to come and work full time, so it was like, oh, okay.
That's incredible. Yeah. So tell us a little bit about the place we are in now, and for you watching on the YouTube, you will now see some shots of kind of like the control room and outside, select shots, that is. But tell us about this place, this situation. What's Windcraft all about then? Well,
Windcraft, I mean, when I first started working for Steve, he had a studio down at his house, which he'd had for years. And there was a big SSL in there. And, Steve's always wanting to push the kind of technology forwards. He's always very keen and interested. So when I first came on board, we kind of moved into Pro Tools. Mm-hmm. And at the same time, he'd purchased this barn, and it was going to be renovated. So he thought it'd be wonderful to put a studio in here. So one of my first jobs when I first started here was working with the architects, deciding on how we were going to, build the place.
Oh, so you would literally from scratch with this particular part of the
Yeah.
the setup here.
Yeah, I mean, when I was first here, there was a tractor parked in the middle, and there was a horse down in the control room, and
Nothing wrong with that. We like tractors and horses, James.
Yeah, the first kind of few months, I was meeting with architects, and deciding and working out the electrics and cable runs for the studio, and
Yeah, and talking of cable runs, I mean, something that's quite unique about what you do here is your optic fibre and Dante and stuff.
Yeah.
Which we'll talk about in a bit. But so you record stuff with Steve. Do you record other people here as well?
We do. One of my recent clients that I had him was John Lydon. I did the Pill album. In fact, I've done the last 2 Pill albums for him. We occasionally do have some other clients come through. We're not a commercial facility, but we do take in the occasional.
Is it kind of by invite or acceptance?
Kind of, yes.
Yeah. Okay, well, I might have a job for you next week. I need to record a double bass, mate.
Depends if you're getting invited.
So you, of course, the Pill album's fantastic sound as well. What was that like? Come on, everyone wants to know what it's like working with Lydon.
Great fun.
Yeah?
Really good fun. We did 8 weeks solid, straight through 7 days a week.
And he stayed focused that amount of time, did he?
Yeah. I mean, it's we have fun in the evenings and we work in the day. I mean, it was pretty much we kept 9 till 6 hours working, and then dinner after then, a few glasses of wine. I mean,
Very civilised.
very civilised. Yeah.
And did Steve have anything to do with that? Did he come down and sort of come up with any musical ideas, or did he just leave you to it and it's your thing? And
Yeah, Steve, if I get an outside client, doesn't ever really come into the studio. He feels that his presence would affect, so he likes to steer clear.
Very interesting. I find Steve very approachable and very friendly, isn't he? But
Yeah, I mean, he just
just does his own thing.
he does his own thing, and
Because he's got his own little control room here, hasn't he?
Yeah, he has his own little studio, so he enjoys that.
So you famously said to me a few weeks ago that live is the thing for you. Mixing live is the ultimate sound engineering experience, and I've kind of been mulling that over. And yeah, I see what you're coming from. I see where you're coming from with that, because the instruments are all playing live together, and you've got to make sure that comes together for something that everyone can enjoy. So I do agree with you on that. But tell us about your live experience and your live rig that you're running, because you had a venue for a while, didn't you?
Yeah, for the last 9 years, I've had a venue profile system.
Yeah.
A DigiDesign one, and I think in the live world, technology's moved on a lot faster than the studio world.
Right.
Because I guess there's just bigger budgets nowadays. And so I've now embraced Dante in a massive way in the studio and live. And I've got my Millennium mic pre's, which I absolutely love, which I run on the Dante system. I have Focusrite RedNet boxes for doing the outputs to the speakers. And I've just bought a Digico S21 because that's embraced the kind of Dante as well. So, yeah, and it's upped its game to 96K in live, which, was always at 48. And the reason being, I guess, even though I think live is more groundbreaking, it's more reserved because it wants redundancy. It wants 2 power supplies, because I guess in live, where your heart's going the most is when something's about to go wrong.
Don't we know it?
You're the person who everyone's got to turn around and look at. So you better know how to fix it.
Yeah, absolutely. So I guess you're making sure it's going to be as slick as possible, as easy to use. You set it up and go. Obviously, apart from the room you're in, your space you're mixing in is going to change, but everything else, I mean, you've got a fantastic pre-production space here in the barn.
Yeah.
Duvets all over the walls and ceilings, may I say, but it's massive.
Yes. Yeah.
And so you don't have to hire film studios for your pre-production, do you, or anything like that?
No.
You've got it all in-house. So this is a music industry company, isn't it? It's not just a studio. It's
It's
the lot.
not just a studio. It's kind of everything. Yeah, live, studio, record label.
Fantastic. And you're the heart of all of that, aren't you?
We are a very small company, yes. There's only kind of sort of 3 employees, really, which is Steve, his wife, and myself, really.
Wow. And I guess that's kind of where the industry's going, isn't it?
Yeah.
Especially with the internet, social media, and you can really get things out there and do things and find people to buy music online. You don't need the dinosaurs anymore.
No, exactly. I mean, being able to be with one artist for 20 years, it's great because we've had time to figure it out and organise ourselves and figure out which jobs and how to streamline them. And that, that's made the big difference because with live, I also do the monitors as well, which people get confused because how can you do monitors in an arena with 16,000 people at front of house?
Well, you can monitor, I guess. So if you can monitor what they're hearing and they can tell you what they want.
Yeah, exactly.
So do you have cameras on stage so you can see them better or what?
No.
Wow.
Yeah, I mean, we have just invested in a new system, a live mix, where we've actually got an intercom system on there.
Right, that's a good
Which
idea.
is good, but I mean, I haven't found as though we've needed it. I mean, as soon as I've set my balance at front of house, everybody's on in ears.
Do they use their own little mixer then on stage? Can they pick their own mixes? Or do you send them?
I send them stems.
Now I understand.
I send
So this
them
is the
stems,
secret.
so
you send them 16 channels of stems or 8 channels of stems, and they
Yeah.
can go drums up, bass up. So just like a studio monitoring setup on a Cat
exactly,
5.
yeah.
What a great idea! So you've got rid of my favourite job. Thanks. I won't be coming on tour with you then.
Or some people's most hated job being a monitor
Oh, I
engineer.
love it.
It's well.
Keep away from the crowd, see.
Well, I mean, I occasionally go and do monitors for other people. I did Nick Kershaw last year, and I did Leicester Racecourse on Ladies' Day. First time I'd worked for him.
Yeah.
No sound check,
Festival vibe.
festival vibe, and I hadn't done monitors for about 4 or 5 years.
Are you telling me it went wrong?
It did go wrong
Oh no.
because the drummer's feed didn't work. So I think the drummer ended up throwing his kind of in-ear pack at me. Yeah, as long as you duck, it's all right. But
Okay.
I did a festival up in Norway in the Arctic Circle with them after that, and we had a sound check, and everyone loved it. So
That's all right then. Yeah. So that whole adage, you're only as good as your last job. You were in the doghouse for a bit, were you?
Oh yes, I definitely was in the doghouse with the drummer. That was for sure.
You don't want to be in the doghouse with a drummer. That sounds wrong.
Yeah.
Lisa Stanfield, you're going out with her soon, I hear?
Yes, I'm going to go and do front of house with her.
Right.
So that'll be There's a monitor engineer to get things thrown at.
Don't ask me then.
I mean, I have. I think I was working with a band called My Life Story,
Right, yeah.
and I was up in Edinburgh, and I always remember because I was doing keyboards on that gig, the monitor engineer, and the lead singer throwing the mic stand with the mic at the monitor engineer. Quite luckily, the cable was still attached, so it fell short. But yeah,
Oh, that's awful. Well, anyway, mate,
so much better down the other end of the multi-core at front of house, I think.
or the Cat 5 now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or the fibre.
Oh, the fibre, of course.
Fibre.
The fibre. You've just got some rolls of fibre, haven't you?
Yeah. I mean, I guess the difference being there is it's carrying the same data, Cat 5 or fibre, but you can do 10 kilometres with fibre. You can only really do 100 foot
That's a big stage.
to 80 metres with Cat 5.
Yes, of course.
So, yeah.
Yeah, I remember we used to just leave the cable in the ground after the festival. Just like,
Yeah, exactly. Well,
plough it up.
Yeah, I think, you never consider that with a copper kind of one, would you, really?
No.
Too expensive. But
far
yeah,
too expensive.
I do hear that, if you go to Glastonbury, you can pick up some cheap fibre each year.
Yes, I bet.
By the time the BBC's left it.
So the first time I had experience of a Cat 5 setup between front of house was on Park Stage at Glastonbury. And I can't remember which system it was. I can't remember which, but was it Roland or something? I'm not sure. Anyway, it kept dropping out.
Yeah.
And so by the end of the first day, a multi-core was in place.
Yes.
But they were trying. It was early days.
Yeah, I mean, you always do need redundancy.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, never lay one, always lay two. Yeah.
Well, listen, mate, thank you ever so much for your time and agreeing to do this. I'm sure everyone's going to appreciate and enjoy this video. And yeah, we'll stay in touch.
Yeah, fantastic.
Cheers, James.
Cheers.
Yay! Don't go anywhere.